To back or not to back?
That is the question.
Well, I'm very excited. Here I have today Alessandro Pra, who is co-owner?
No, I'm...
In-house designer?
No, I am only an employee, but I'm, yes, a friend of the owner, let's say.
Employee and friend of the owner of Horrible Games. And Horrible Games are known for Steam Park was one of yours, that's correct? And Raise Your Goblets, which came out at Essen last year, and Potion Explosion, which I think may be what most people know you for, because that one's been very successful, right?
Yes. It's by far our most successful game among the ones we released so far. Maybe the second one is the only one that you didn't mention yet. It's Dungeon Fighter, which is also another game we made. I don't know if you know it. It's a dexterity game where you have to throw dice at a target. It was pretty crazy.
Of course, I know Dungeon Fighter. You have to like bounce it or throw it under your leg and things like that,
that
right?
kind of stuff, yes.
So just give us a brief history of Horrible Games, who you are, what you do, why you do it.
Yeah, of course. As a company, we were established in 2014, so not really a long time ago. But before that, we were also we were previously working with Cranio Creations, which is another Italian company that started in 2009. So actually, we are in the business from 2009. And then at one point, Lorenzo Silva, which is the owner and main game designer of Horrible Games, decided he wanted to make his own company because he had partners in Cranio Creations. So when he made this decision, he brought me with him, and we started working with Horrible Games a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I think now. And with comics, which is a storytelling game in which you create comic book stories by actually placing panel cards in front of you. So you create a real comic page, and then you have to tell the story to the other players. And from then, we also, since we are now also the owners of the Steam Park and Dungeon Fighter franchises that started in Cranio Creations, we made a few reprints of that. And then we released the Potion Explosion a couple of years ago, and I think, as you say, most of people know us because of that game. What we are trying to do is, as you can probably or probably not see from all the different kinds of game that I mentioned, is that we always try to make something unique and original. We are not tied to a specific game type, because we have dungeon crawlers with dexterity elements, worker placement games with simultaneous dice rolling, and puzzle game with marbles. So very, very different kinds of stuff, but we always try to have let's say original ideas applied to in unconventional situations. And of course, we also work a lot on the graphics and artwork of our games.
And so, I mean, Horrible Games, it seems to me, are famous. I think what your sort of unique aspect is your components are pretty incredible. Is that a consideration when you come up with games, that because Raise Your Goblets comes with these glasses that you use, and Potion Explosion is, that rack with all the marbles in? I mean, it's pretty spectacular. Is that always a consideration?
Yes, I think it is. It is not necessarily a thing that I mean, we don't start a game project with the idea of putting something like that into a game. I mean, it's not mandatory, but it it happens naturally. I think. I mean, we need to have something that makes us, in the first place, think that the game is cool, and making strange components or very spectacularly produced components in a game is one of the easiest things you can think about when you plan a game. And since we are getting good at it, it's also becoming easier and easier to have new ideas in that regard. Yeah, when we started, we didn't think we would have ever been able to make something like the potion explosion dispenser, because it was really complicated to create, because it had to be made in cardboard. It had to be small enough to fit into the box without disassembling it after you have disassembled it for the first time. And it also could not have too many pieces or be too difficult to assemble, even it still is not one of the easiest things to assemble in the world. But there was a lot of limitations we had to work around to create that. But after we made that, I think that it really opened to us a lot of new possibilities, because if we manage to do that, there's nothing that we cannot achieve. I think now we are not scared anymore. I mean, what I want to say is that you give us a crazy idea and we will find a way to make it. Probably, it's very fun. It's a very fun way to work.
Well, we'll move on there on the idea of crazy idea, and I'm not sure it's a crazy idea, but it's certainly an innovative one. So 2 years ago at Essen, the year Potion Explosion came out, I interviewed someone from Horrible Games. It may have been you, I can't remember.
Yes, it was probably me.
And I wanted to ask you about the game you currently have on Kickstarter, Alone. It was on one of those anticipated games at Essen 2015 lists.
Yes,
and
it was.
I read the description of it, and it seemed really exciting and innovative and a great twist on a sort of classic theme. So can you just tell us briefly, firstly, what Alone is and what makes Alone unique?
Yes, of course. For starters, Alone is a good example of what I was trying to say before. There is not a crazy kind of component in Alone. We have very good, cool miniatures, and that's one thing that players that like this kind of games always search in a game like this. But in this case, I think the thing that really makes Alone unique is the main concept of one single hero player against up to three evil masterminds, which is the complete opposite of what dungeon crawlers usually do. That is, one mastermind that controls all the evil stuff going on, and one or more heroes, each one controlling one single miniature and fighting against the evil guy. We did the opposite, and this is the single idea that started it all. It was an idea Andrea Crespi had. He is a friend of ours, and he is also one of the co-designers of Potion Explosion too. And he owns a video game and board game shop here in Italy. So he also plays a lot of board games and video games, of course. He was playing Dead Space, the video game Dead Space, and he also had recently watched the Alien, the movie, from the Ridley Scott movie, and this idea hit him suddenly. Why don't we make a board game in which a single hero is fighting alone, and that's from where the name came from, right from the start.
I mean, it's a really simple idea, and I'm really surprised that no one has thought about it before now.
Yeah, that's that was surprising for us too, because it seems like a simple thing to come up with. It's not like a revolution or something. It's just the same thing on reverse. But there were hidden how to say, problems inside, because what usually, I mean, what the single evil player usually has everything under his control, and so there are no problems for him, because in Alone, instead, the evil players have to communicate with each other to plan the strategy, for example, because if everybody plays just like what the heroes do usually in a regular dungeon crawl, you have to discuss your strategy. If one of the players just goes to fight one big monster without the help of the others, it may ruin the mission for everyone. We have the same thing happening, but with the evil players, with the added difficulty that they cannot even communicate too openly. Because for the ones that are listening to us that don't know the game, the evil players have the complete map on which they are playing hidden from the hero behind the screen, so they can see everything, and the hero can only see on the other side just the sector he's in and the few sectors around it that he explored. And at the end of each round, these sectors are removed from the table, so each round he will only have in front of himself only the nearest things, not the view of the complete situation. So if on the other side of the screen the evil players need to discuss, to plan a strategy, but they openly do so, the hero can hear them because he's sitting just at the other side of the table, and this is not a good thing for them. So we didn't think about it when we started working on the game, and it was just an emergent mechanism. Sorry, my English is
mechanism, mechanic.
Yes.
You can use either word.
Okay, so it was an emergent mechanism that we were very, very happy to see, and evil players will try to, I don't know, using gestures or suggesting things with clues. Or I don't know, riddles. They try to communicate with each other without having the hero understand what is going on, and that is one of the very best things of the game, from the feeling, because for the hero too, seeing this happen gives this very scary feeling of three people plotting against you, and you are alone against them, that you have no one that will come to help you.
And so there's one aspect that I think is really fantastic, and I watched the Kickstarter video, and you've added something new as well, but explain how in the game you convey darkness.
Oh yeah,
because darkness is a big aspect of this game.
Yes, it is. And I forgot to mention that, yes. The map, I already mentioned, is completely dark, and this is why the hero can only see a few sectors at a time around him, because it's very dark and he cannot see very far. So this means that if he just moves in a sector, in an adjacent sector, without first explore, we call it exploration, and thematically it is like the hero has a flashlight in hand, and he can use it to carefully look around. So if he moves without exploring, nasty things may ambush him from the darkness and deal him damage and scare him, and a lot of bad stuff can happen. If the hero explores, he forces the evil players to always check the complete map they have hidden in behind the screen, so they can make sure that they are reporting to him everything as it really is. Then they will be forced to place for him the explored sector with all that it contains. So if it contains traps or creatures, this way the hero can see them. And if he sees them, he can also use actions to, attack the creature, or he may decide to go another way. He can defuse traps, he can do a lot of stuff, actually. But doing so every time, it costs actions to the hero, and actions are a metaphor of time in the game. So the more actions he spends, the more time he is spending, and he has missions to complete with a time limit. So for the hero, the challenge is to try to be as careful as possible by exploring every time that it makes sense to do that. But he cannot explore every single time because he will never complete his mission in time if he does so. Then the other twist in the light and darkness thing that is going on in Alone is that sometimes the hero will find light control units, we call them, which is the hero is an engineer. The protagonist of our story is an engineer, so he has as a skill, he can fix stuff. He can also combine the items he finds by exploring. There are item cards that he can find. He can combine two items to upgrade, to take pieces from one and use them to upgrade the other from a team point of view. But if he finds light control units, he can also fix them. And if he succeeds to do so, on the evil map, the complete map, you can see that each light control unit is linked to several sectors. So when the hero fixes the control unit, all the sectors that are connected to that light control unit also all these sectors have the lights switched on. And in the game, you physically turn the tiles on the other side, where there is the same sector but with light instead of darkness. And when this happens, the hero can reveal a lot of sectors with one single action, which is a huge advantage. Also, as always, whenever a sector is revealed, which is another term we use in the rulebook for exploration, everything that they contain is revealed in front of him. So even if there were creatures a bit far away, he will be able to see them if they are linked to the light control unit he just fixed. And finally, most of the creatures don't like to be exposed to light at all because they are used to live in the dark. So if the hero manages to switch on the lights, the creatures will be able to deal less damage to him or even no damage at all in some cases. So for the hero, light is probably his most precious ally.
So is Alone played as a campaign, or is it separate scenarios, or do you have the option to do both?
Basically, we have the option to do both. What we are currently planning is to have a scenario booklet, let's call it, that will tell you the story. The full scenario will be composed by something like 10 or something chapters, with each chapter being one game. This booklet will also tell you, for each chapter, which of the mission cards that we will include in the game you have to use. But you can also use these cards to create your own scenarios if you want, either randomly, or you can create your own story, and you can choose which of the cards that will be available to use, and basically create your stories after you have played our story. Also, the interesting thing is that even if we have this one story, the setup of each chapter is, thanks to these cards, the mission cards, it's heavily randomized. So even if you play the same exact scenario chapter twice, the map layout and the position of the rooms and a lot of other stuff will still be different each time. So you will already know what's going to happen from the story point of view, but you can replay it and it will be as the first time from a gameplay point of view because everything is changed.
Excellent. So I opened it up by saying that I read about it on a Most Anticipated Games of Essen list 2015, and now it's 2017. So can you explain how and why the development is seeming to take so long?
Well, because even if the idea of turning the dungeon crawler genre on the other side, it may seem like a simple one, even if nobody had it before us, but that's another story. The thing is that it's not that easy to make real, for many reasons. Because, for example, how do you make the game fair in a genre where usually there is 3 single people against one guy controlling a lot of stuff, when instead you have 3 guys controlling a lot of stuff all together against one single guy that is really, really alone, because that's only him. That was one of the most difficult things at start, and still it still is, because the balancing of this game is a thing that we have to carefully think through every time, because even the smallest change in a seemingly random part of the game may have repercussions, unexpected repercussions, on other parts of the game. You cannot just simply, okay, this creature is stronger, it's too strong, we just make it a little bit weaker, and that's it. There are a lot of stuff that you have to keep in consideration. And also, there were a lot of challenges, like, for example, the downtime for the hero. When 3 evil players are discussing a lot, we had to make sure that there was not too much downtime for the hero. I don't know, there's a lot of things I could say, but now my mind is empty, as always in this situation, so sorry. But yes, it took this long, mainly because of how particular the gameplay is, and since it is new, we had nowhere to search for inspiration. Sometimes when you are making a game in a more established way, for example, Potion Explosion, which is new for a lot of reasons, as nice components, a certain kind of video game translated in board game, and a lot of stuff. At its core is still a puzzle game, so you can look around at the many existing puzzle games and see what they did to make it good, and try to apply some of that to your game. With Alone, it's much more difficult to do that, because it's not that easy to find solutions that can also be applied to a game this strange, because it's really strange. And another difficult thing that we are experiencing right now is that it's really difficult to communicate what makes the game good. We had to put a lot of effort into our Kickstarter project page to make it exhaustive and clear and on the point. It was more difficult than what we initially had expected.
Well, that brings me to my next question, which is, Horrible Games have not done a Kickstarter before, or at least I'm fairly sure you haven't. So why did you go onto Kickstarter with this project? What is it about this project that makes it sort of Kickstarter worthy?
Well, it's a game with miniatures, and that's one of the kind of games that really goes strong on Kickstarter, so there's that. Also, it's our biggest game so far. It's the most complicated to develop. It's the one with the biggest box, with the most components, with miniatures. We never really made games with miniatures before. We just did the Steam Park Robots expansion, but those were just very nice meeples, not really miniatures. And it's also a game with a very high initial production cost, because when you have to make a lot of miniatures, the initial cost is very high, because you have to create the molds and to make the sculptures, and there are a lot of costs involved. So a mix of novelty for us. It was a new kind of game to add to our catalog. A very big game, very complicated, and with high costs, but with fitting into a popular kind of game in crowdfunding websites. These are all the factors that made us decide to try this new kind of adventure, which is very, very stressful, in case anyone is asking that.
Well, I was going to ask, how is the campaign going?
It's going, I think, from Kickstarter point of view, I guess it's going okay, because we are already 100% founded, and we are, I think, something like 130 something. So we are already above our founding goal, which was met in just a little bit more than 1 day, and we already unlocked, I think, 3 stretch goals. I'm not really sure, but I think it's 3. So it's going good. But if you compare it to those crazy Kickstarter stories of Kulmini funding in 7 minutes and then raising $4 million before the end of the campaign,
Gloomhaven at the moment is crazy.
Or Gloomhaven now. Yes, you're right. So if you compare alone to those kind of campaigns, there's really no comparison to be made. It's completely another level, but we cannot complain, I think, because funding in 1 day for a very small and relatively unknown publisher company as we are, because not for example, Potion Explosion, if you ask people who made Potion Explosion, depending on where they live, they will probably tell you either Kulmini or not, because they are distributing us in the United States, or one of our other distributors around the world. So as a brand, Horrible Games is still not super popular, and also we never released anything on Kickstarter before. So for the Kickstarter crowd, we are completely new, like we just started making games, so we cannot really complain. The campaign is going at a steady pace, and we will make more money than what we asked, so we cannot complain.
So give our listeners then the details. Where can they find it? What do they have to pay? What's special about your Kickstarter, and what makes it exciting and worth backing?
Okay, so you can find it on Kickstarter, of course. You can find links on our website and Facebook page and Twitter profile, and we also have Instagram now. You will be able to get a copy of the core game with all the unlocked stretch goal, of course, for €75, which I don't know what is in other currencies, but you can easily do that by yourself.
It says on the website here.
Yes, we wrote it, but I don't remember it.
Around $81 or £64.
Okay, so you have that, and since when you do Kickstarters, you have to make something spectacular, they say. We decided to also make a super limited pledge, which is a bit expensive because it comes for €350, which is a little bit under $400, and I don't know how many pounds. And that includes the same things you will have with a basic pledge, but it will also contain a limited set of 3D map tiles made with resin. So instead of using cardboard pieces to place the miniatures, you will have a really cool three-dimensional labyrinth that you build as you play, and you place those miniatures inside it, and they look great because it has this science fiction architecture, which is not something you see very often in this kind of products. It's easier to find fantasy-themed resin map sets we have seen. So ours is one of the few science fiction ones that is around, and it really makes the game gorgeous.
If I had the money, I would back it at this level because they do look absolutely fantastic. These resin terrain pieces that I guess you clip them together, do you?
No, you actually don't need it because, and it will also be a bit uncomfortable because since you have to update the map every round, having to also clip and unclip them would be more troublesome than convenient. but they are very big and very heavy, so unless you have really clumsy friends, they won't move around just because you're playing with them.
And so, the final question, I've been waiting for 2 years, when can I actually get a copy of Alone then?
Yeah, if all goes well, as we have written on our project page, the game will be delivered to backers in April 2018. So I'm sorry, but you have to wait a bit more, almost a year. After that, the game will also, if all goes well again, reach the standard retail channels, and in mid-2018, you will be able to find the game in stores.
Fantastic. Well, Alessandro Pra, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks to you for inviting me, and I hope I didn't
Absolutely
babble too
not,
much.
no.
If you would like your game considered for a Kickstarter preview,
or simply want to contact us,
then send a swift missive to our electronic mail at
infoperfected@gmail.com.
I thank you.